Assignment number 1, 3D printer. The first thing you have to do is read the questions. Then the second thing you have to do is read the article. And finally, answer the questions in complete sentences. Now, I'm going to go through this article very quickly. And along the way, hopefully identify information that would help you answer those questions. There's a link provided in the Schoology assignment that will take you to a place, to the original article, and from right there you'll be able to watch a couple of videos. That's in addition to the text, but the text is enough to be able to answer the questions. So 3D printer saves toddler struggling to breathe, okay, by Jax Wilson and Stephanie Smith from CNN. Updated on Friday, March 28th, 2014. Notice that on the right side, I have note and notice signpost. And I also have ethos, pathos, and logos. So we're gonna try to combine some of the observations from some of the important details that would give you an answer for the question. So along the way, I'm gonna stop. So when Garrett Patterson was born, so far, right now, I need to remember this name. Okay, that's an important information, important detail. So I'm going to just make it this color. Nurses couldn't rotate his head from side to side. Doing so made him turn blue instantly. That's also an important detail. I will never forget seeing him for the first time like that. His mom, Natalie Peterson said in a YouTube video posted by University of Michigan's CS Mott Children's Hospital. That was hard. So notice that she uses the word never. Okay, that is an absolute statement. In this case, that could be this post right here, extreme or absolute language. I will never forget. And that also, if you remember ethos, okay, if you remember ethos, pathos, and logos, you can start asking yourself whether her statements coming as a mother are coming from her feelings. If that is the case, if you agree, then that will be pathos. So we'll continue. Garrett was born with the tetralogy of Fallot with an absent pulmonary valve, a fancy way of saying he had a hole between the lower chambers of his heart, which put extreme pressure on his lungs. So a key detail, it's right here, a hole between the lower chambers of his heart. That's an important detail. So I'm gonna highlight it or so that you can see where the information's at. Okay, the name of it is not a disease, but it is a disorder that he was born with. It's this right here. So, but the easiest way to answer that would be this, absent pulmonary valve. So you can also highlight what that is. So this right here is basically the description. A hole between the lower chambers of his heart is the actual description of an absent pulmonary valve. Okay, so as we keep on reading, the pressure caused his airways to collapse. In essence, he was trying to breathe through tiny slits. His condition is called severe tracheobronchiomalacia. So this is an important term. Okay, that is what his condition is called. So, and I'm highlighting keywords that you can use to answer the questions that are coming up. In some ways, the heart defect is relatively straightforward to fix. Dr. Richard Oye. Okay, so this is an important name. Now we're talking about a doctor who is an expert. So whatever he has to say, you ask yourself, is it ethos, pathos, or logos? Is it coming from an expert opinion? Is it targeting feelings? or emotions, or is it something that is being said that is logical and rational? Okay, so going back, Dr. Richard Ohye, head of pediatric cardiovascular surgery at CS Mott Children's Hospital, said in the video, it's the lung issues and the airway issues that are the higher problem. So this right here is an expert opinion. Okay. The Pattersons spent months watching their son turn blue 4 or 5 times a day as hospital staff struggled to revive him. So here's the important detail. So he turned blue. Okay. That is an important detail. And also, hospital staff struggled to revive him. Okay, that's also an important detail. According to a university press release, Garrett was put on a ventilator and heavy medication to prevent him from fighting the breathing tube. Now, here's the key word that we're hearing a lot right now in the news: ventilator. Okay, so you might want to use that specific word, and also it is one of the signposts. Okay, notice so far we have one quote from Dr. Richard Ohye, and that is a signpost. It's a quote from an expert. But also we have, besides the absolute language, we also have word gaps, and these are specific words that you need to know. In this case, okay, if you do not know what ventilator is, what you could do when you're reading, especially if you're reading it online, is copy paste that word and paste it in dictionary.com. Okay, a ventilator is a respirator. Basically, it's a device that helps you to breathe. So it's in the news right now because a lot of patients with coronavirus need that device to be able to stay alive and breathing. Okay, so going back, Garrett was put on a ventilator and heavy medication to prevent him from fighting the breathing tube. So another key word is medication. Okay, that's like medicine. Then in May 2013, Garrett's father, Jake Patterson, okay, so that you can highlight. You have his mom and now his dad, and let me just double check that his mom's name was highlighted. There you go. Okay, here it is up here, Natalie Peterson. Okay, going back to where we left off, Jake Peterson, let me finish highlighting, read an article about another baby with a similar breathing problem. Kaiba Gionfrido had a rare obstruction in his lungs called bronchial malacia. So notice this is the name of another baby. Okay, he also had bronchial malacia. We already highlighted that, so we know that the two are connected to what Garrett has. Using an experimental technique never tried on human, Peterson read, doctors created a splint made out of biological material that effectively carved a path through Kaiba's blocked airway. So the word that you need to memorize here, or you need to know what a splint is. In this case, it's a specific word, a splint. If you don't know what a splint is, you can look it up in the dictionary and find out what it is. Okay, it's a piece of wood or other rigid material used to immobilize or fracture or dislocate a bone or to maintain any part of the body in a fixed position. And that's what they're trying to do. It's maintain a specific part of his body as a baby right now in a specific position so that he can breathe. So made out of biological materials that effectively carved a path through Kaiba's blocked airway. Okay, the printer was created on a three-dimensional printer. Created, that means it was made. If you don't know, if you're not sure, look at it in the dictionary. A three-dimensional printer is the first time that we see something related to the title. If you go back, it says 3D printer saves toddler struggling to breathe. Now we have a specific reference to the device. Okay, it's magical to me. Dr. Glenn Green, here's another doctor, and we're going to highlight that just to make sure. An associate professor of pediatric otolaryngology, okay, at the University of Michigan, told CNN at the time, Green implanted the splint in Caiba. We're talking about taking dust and using it to build body parts. Okay, so this is important because you're using dust and using it to create body parts. And the 3D printer basically takes materials that and then turns it around and shapes it. Caiba is now 2 years old and free of symptoms related to his bronchial malaise. So the Petersons decided to reach out to see if Green would be interested in helping Garrett. And remember, Garrett is the baby. Devices created with 3D printers have not yet been approved by the Food and Drug Administration for use in humans. Green and his colleague, biomedical engineer Scott Hollister, so that's another doctor, had gotten emergency clearance from the FDA to try the treatment on Caiba. Now, emergency, you know what that is. Clearance means permission, and that's a specific word that basically, if you know what it means, that you know that the FDA, in this case, if you don't know what FDA is, you should look it up. It's the Food and Drug Administration. So let me just Google it to make sure that you can see. Here it is, Food and Drug Administration. So that is the government's agency responsible for giving doctors permission to use any specific drugs or approving in a blanket approval of any new drugs. So going back, but by December, Garrett was in critical condition. His parents, now notice, by December is giving you a time reference, and we don't know if the reference begins in January or in the summer. So, but that's an important turning point. Okay, Garrett was in critical condition. His parents took him to the Michigan hospital, and Green obtained another emergency clearance from the FDA. After doing a CT scan, now a CT scan, if you do not know what a CT scan is, it's always a good idea just to look it up. In this case, a CT scan is a computer tomography, okay? So basically, it's a picture of what's inside your body. Okay, so going back, after doing a CT scan of Garrett's trachea and bronchi, Hollister used a 3D printer to create a splint out of a biopolymer, okay, called polycaprolactone. Okay, so that is the material that was used to create the splinter or the splint. Okay, remember this word right here is the object that was created or manufactured or made for the baby. On January 31st, okay, so now notice that by December, there was a reference of December. Now we're in January 31st. Oye sued the splint. So now here comes a reference to something specific. Oye sued the splint around Garrett's right and left bronchi to expand his airway. Now, to saw something into someone, does that mean he used a needle or solder or what? So basically he created a surgery, okay? So a surgery was performed and the piece was inserted into him. and to remember to make the parts inside him fixed so that they don't move. The doctor says the splint will be absorbed by Garrett's body during the next 3 years. Okay, this is important because we're talking about his body's being able to adapt to this new device. And the word that's specific to be adapted, it means absorbed. Absorb means is to take in. Okay? As his airways grow stronger, in the meantime, Garrett is breathing easier and he's less help from the ventilator, which you know is the apparatus that helps someone to breathe. It is a tremendous feeling to know that this device has saved another child. Hollister said in the press release, "We believe there are many other applications for these techniques." We believe there are many other applications for these techniques. Now, he is giving you an infomercial with this statement, okay? Even though the article is not concentrating on that, he's giving you a hint that he and the doctors that work with him are saying that there are many other applications. Applications mean that there are many other things that can be done with the techniques that they use, either for that part of the body or for a different part. But to see the impact living and breathing in front of you is overwhelming. Now, he's saying, here's a quote, and I'm going to highlight it in a different color for a different reason. Because now here's the first part of the quote is the expert opinion. He is a doctor. He's a researcher. He's telling you what his expert opinion is. But now, but is a turning point. A turning point is a signal word that's letting you know, okay, it's an extreme or absolute language, but it's telling you something that is it's in juxtaposition, or it's in comparison to what was just said. In this case, he's saying part of the quote, and you have to ask yourself, is this connected to logos, to logic, to ethos, to an expert opinion, or to pathos? Is it something that's targeting his or your own feelings? But to see the impact living and breathing in front of you is overwhelming. Okay, we continue. Severe tracheobronchial malaise has been a condition that has frustrated me for many years. Now, that is a great quote. And I'm going to quote it again in a different color. Because now he's saying something as an expert, but he's also telling you how he feels. Okay? Added green. I've seen children die from it. To see this device work for a second time, it's a major accomplishment and offers hope for these children. So the last quote is mixed. Part of it is targeting the feelings, but also part of it is saying something that's coming from the expert opinion, okay? Green and Hollister will be participating in a Reddit Ask Me Anything Tuesday at noon ET. ET means, it does not mean extraterrestrial in this case. It means Eastern time, okay? 3 weeks after the surgery, Garrett was smiling at his parents. We haven't seen smiles for a while, so getting a smile is very exciting, Natalie Patterson said in the video. So this one is a quote that you can ask yourself if it is ethos, pathos, or logos. So I'll let you decide. Doctors believe Garrett will be able to come off the ventilator fully within a matter of months. So now this was the end of July. Months implies 1 or 2, so that means, the end of January. So that means that by the end of March, he would have been off the ventilator. The couple planned to take their 18-month-old boy home for the first time then. Okay, so now he's 1 year and a half. Now the questions are, okay, what is the writer's purpose? I need you to type the answer in full sentence. And so as the sentence started, you can begin like this. Notice that you can use the same keywords, okay, to write your answer. So I'm going to use the writer's purpose is to, then you give me your answer, okay? So that's how you begin to make the statement. What is the text central idea? Use the same keywords to answer the question. Turn it around, okay? Use the same keywords from the text and begin with the text central idea is, okay? And you give me the answer. Number 3. Notice that number 3 has 2 questions. Who is or are the intended audiences? In a case where you have are, it's a big hint that there's more than one. It's kind of like they're telling you, hey, there are at least 2 or more intended audiences. So pay attention when you get questions like that, because usually those are trick questions. If you only say one, you only get points for one, but not necessarily for everything that you could possibly respond to. So for example, I'm going to use the same keywords and I'm going to say, let's see, let me highlight it. And let me begin by saying the intended audience, audiences are, and ask yourself, a lot of you by default say, well, the intended audience is whoever's reading it. True, that is true. But in general, if, for example, a magazine writes an article about dogs, is the magazine trying to write an article about for cat owners or for dog owners, or for someone who might be interested in having a dog, or for families who have kids who are beginning to ask about dogs? So you have to ask who could be the group of people or specific individuals that could benefit from this article, okay? And then how can you tell? Now, knowing what you know and knowing what we've highlighted, we have a baby that was born with a condition. So I can tell, okay, so I can tell that the audiences are blank, 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 okay, because blank, 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 okay? And then you can explain if there's more than one. You can explain in the first audience, it's this because blah, blah, blah. And the second audience is this because blah, 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 okay? And you can continue on if you have more than one answer. The next one, how does the text want to affect or change the reader? Okay, I'm going to use the same keyword. And notice that what I'm doing is just reversing the order. The text wants to affect, whoops, okay. How does the text want to affect or change the reader? Okay, the text wants to affect the reader by, okay? That's one way or the text wants to affect the, or not affect, but in this case, change the reader's, okay, let me change that, change the reader's knowledge, perception, I guess it could be something else, opinion, okay, etc., etc., and then you can put by blah 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 blah. Okay, the next one is really easy. All you have to do is use the same keywords. What rhetorical devices are used to target these audiences and enhance the argument being put forth? Now, that's a lot of words. So if I were you, I would pick only some of the keywords to answer the question. I would say, now, going back to the article, remember that experts were speaking. Also, the mom and one of the doctors, they share their feelings on how they felt about the baby, and one about being able to save two babies. So that's a type of rhetorical device. Then you ask yourself, okay, there's one missing rhetorical device that I'm not sure if it's present or not, and that's logos. That's logical. Okay, so for the purpose of answering this one, I would say at least, oops, at least two, okay, devices were used to, or were used in this article, okay, and I would say namely, and I'm about to say which ones, blah 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 and blah blah blah. And I'm going to put period, and I can say, for example, I can say one example of, and you can name the rhetorical device, is when you can say somebody, when the mom or the doctor said, and then you can do the following. Put a quotation, and when you put the quote, okay, make sure that you put a period right before the quote, and that means that you have embedded a quote in your answer. And then you can go on. A second example occurs or happens or is identifiable or yada yada yada. Okay, in the text. So you want to avoid repeating article all the time. So you can say a different way. Instead of article, you can say it text or passage or in a different paragraph. Okay, so try to vary the words that you use in each answer. Okay, so from here, use the same as example 1 to continue to answer that same question. Now, the trickiest one is this one. A lot of you would skip this one thinking that you already have 5 sentences and you're done. No, you need to provide 5 to 7 complete sentences of the summary. Now, do you have to be in chronological order? Yes, I prefer that you do say it in chronological order, so that way I know that what you're saying goes according to how things happen. Do I want you to embed quotes? No, you don't have to. In this case, you're condensing or you're shrinking the entire text into one paragraph, but in your own words, okay? And now you may give an opinion, for example, if there's something that catches your attention, for example, how the mom feels, and you feel that that is important, you may explain that in your own words on how that changed you or affected you as a reader. Now, I wouldn't use the entire paragraph to go on and on with my own feelings. Remember, you're trying to summarize the article, not talk about what you think. Okay, so that is the end for this specific article. I need you to, like I said, read the questions first, read the article, and then answer the questions in complete sentences. If you have any questions, you can send me a message through Schoology, Also, you may submit the answers through text, or you may also write the answers out on a piece of paper, take a picture, and send them. Have your mom or dad send them to me. I will accept that also as a possible submission. All right. And if you have any questions, then just let me know. Thank you. Have a great day and stay safe.